Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to another episode in my community question series, which this is now, we're on to episode 23. I do apologize that it's been so long since I've filmed another question for you guys. It's a series I'd absolutely love, but it's kind of got put on the back burner the last several months. Actually, I don't know if I even made one at all this year. So it's definitely well time and overdue for one. Now, if you guys have not checked out any of my previous 22 questions, I do have a playlist of them. You can go back and you can answer the various questions I ask you. You have multiple ways you can do that. You can either leave a comment responding, telling me your answer to the question, or maybe you want to film your own video response for it. And I will be having a contest at the end of this question series. And for every video that you respond, you will get an entry in that you will be able to win prizes, which I do have several prizes planned for that contest. And the more videos you respond to, the more chances you have to win. And you can go back and answer any of the questions as long as the contest hasn't concluded. So if you missed any, feel free to go back and answer those questions, and you can get more entries. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys do film a video response, I just ask that you let me know about it, because YouTube doesn't always tell me when you guys upload videos, and I would hate to miss your video response. And also, I will leave a link to your video response as a comment so other people can find it and watch it as well. So for today's video, episode 23, I want to ask you guys, how important is backwards compatibility to you? So how important is consoles offering backwards compatibility? You know, is that something you guys enjoy? Maybe it's something that you don't really care about. Is that a selling point for you? You know, do you guys enjoy that? Me personally, I absolutely have loved having consoles being backwards compatible with older consoles. And for me, one of the main ones I would say that was really cool starting out was having the let me grab it here. Here it is. Was having the Super Game Boy for Super Nintendo, because it was backwards compatible with Game Boy titles and let you play Game Boy games on your Super Nintendo, since this was the new hardware out at the time. And that was just something that was really cool and definitely unheard of at the time. Now, I know that, you know, like the Atari 7800 played Atari 2600 games, but you know, Atari was not that popular when the 7800 came out, not compared to the NES. You know, the NES is what revived it, so a lot of people might not know about that. But for me, getting my first taste of backwards compatibility was with the Super Game Boy on Super Nintendo, being able to play Game Boy games. It was so awesome. Oh, look, I can play them on a big screen, and it can add some color to it. You can adjust the color and stuff, and it was just something that was really cool, being able to play those portable games for the first time on a big screen. It was just, it was amazing and awesome. Now, probably one of the most famous backwards compatible consoles that most people should definitely know about is PlayStation 2, being able to play all the PlayStation 1 games, because it had the physical architecture of the PS1 built into the PS2s. And that was just something that was amazing. You know, when PlayStation 2 came out, it's coming out and saying, you know, oh, it's backwards compatible with your whole library of the past. You know, you don't have to throw your games out. You can still play them on PlayStation 2. And they get a little bit improved performance because they're on more powerful hardware. And so for me, that's what really just solidified how much I love backwards compatibility. It was just so cool. Like, man, I can still play all my PS1 games on my new PlayStation 2 console. Now, I've always been somebody, though, that has always kept my consoles, and I didn't trade them in when I would upgrade to the new one. I had a lot of friends and stuff, you know, PlayStation 2 comes out, oh, the hell with PlayStation 1, man, I'm done with that stuff. But, you know, like, oh, well, you know, say you could still play some PS1 games. They're like, yeah, I can play on my PS2, but you know, they weren't really into playing the older games. It was always playing the new hottest and greatest. And then, you know, when PlayStation 3 comes out, you get rid of PS2 and play PlayStation 3. But I've always been someone who's kept original hardware. So I do prefer, like, 95 times out of 100. So 95% of the time I do like to play games on their console. I like to play my PS1 games on PS1. You know, I like to play my Game Boy games on the Game Boy. I like to just play them on the original hardware, but I do like having the option to be able to play them backwards compatible. Now, the PlayStation 3, the original launch model, was backwards compatible with PS2 and PS1, but when they released the revisions, they were only backwards compatible with PlayStation 1 games. So every PlayStation 3 out there can play PS1 games, 100% fine with it. So a lot of people, actually, I'm surprised, did not know that all PS3s play PS1 games, but only the first models of the PlayStation 3 actually were backwards compatible with the PS2. And you can tell that by looking at the front of the fat consoles. If it opens up and it has 4 USB ports in the front, then you have one of the launch models. But they were prone to that yellow light of death, and they can be really difficult to find working ones these days, which I would love to get a backwards compatible PS3 for PS2 games. I had one actually for like 2 days that I got from the game store, but it died, so they had to I had to trade it in, and they had to give me a non-backwards compatible PS3 console, which sucks, but it is what it is. But it was really cool, you know, being able to play your PS2 games on your PlayStation 3 and getting those performance boosts and upgraded graphics and just something that was really awesome. And then another one we have, like being able to play original Xbox games. You know, the first time they had backwards compatibility was Xbox 360. And it was cool being able to play your old Xbox games on 360 because, you know, again, much more powerful hardware, and the games ran a lot smoother, and sometimes, you know, got graphics and performance boosts on them. And then when the Xbox One console came out, you know, they eventually added backwards compatibility for original Xbox games and some Xbox 360 games that you could play on your Xbox One consoles. And they really started expanding that as they saw that more and more people were interested in playing older games, as it opened up so many more libraries. Now, there are some original Xbox games that will only work on Xbox 360. They did not make the backwards compatibility to Xbox One or the Xbox Series consoles, because now that we have the Series consoles, you can play original Xbox, you can play Xbox 360, and all Xbox One games. So you have 4 generations you can play on the Series consoles. However, with these newer consoles, you know, you're not really actually playing the games off the disc like you did in the past. Now, if I put an original Xbox game that's backwards compatible in my Xbox 360 console, it actually is playing it off the disc, and it's not software. Where if I put this game, which is now backwards compatible on Xbox One and Series consoles, if I put this disc in, it downloads a backwards compatible version, digital copy off the marketplace, and then this just acts like a CD key. So it's just software backwards compatibility and not actual physical hardware backwards compatibility, which is kind of annoying and leads to issues and licensing and stuff, which is a big one, because since it doesn't have the hardware to run the actual games, not all games are able to be approved because they've lost the licenses to them and they can't put them there. Where if they had put the hardware of the old Xbox in the new Series consoles, and it was 100% backwards compatible, then you could just throw the disc in and it would work playing any of them, which is something I really would love if they've done. However, we all know that that would have cost too much money, and it's not something that they would do. But they have talked about, they said they are done adding backwards compatibility, but Microsoft has said that in the past, and they've even talked about it, that they are looking into the future of being able to add more titles backwards compatibility, because they saw how much of a demand there has been for it and a resurgence of people wanting to play these older games. And I think a lot of it has to do with you know, that we're getting less and less new IPs, and we're getting less games that are really interesting and trying to do something new, as people want to just keep like the same old games going and don't want to try something new. So some people are able to go back and discover games they had never played before, which is a great way, especially for you younger people who might not have grown up with this stuff. You know, I'm gonna be 38 next year, so I grew up with having an NES and Super Nintendo, so I've seen the progression of the different consoles and being able to play various games out there. But for people who are a lot younger than myself, you know, you weren't around when these consoles are out, and so it's a great way for you guys to discover some of these old classic titles. Another one that I really loved was that the Nintendo Wii was backwards compatible with GameCube games, and it had it physically built in. Now, they did have 2 revisions to the Wii. They did have a family edition where they took out the GameCube ports, but the compatibility was actually still technically built in. You could actually add on those GameCube ports back to it, and technically it would work with. You could also do it through software as well, because all they did was literally remove hardware parts. The compatibility was still built into the Wii, and then you had the Wii Mini, which really took everything out. But recently somebody posted how they were able to add GameCube support through emulation back to it again, and controllers and stuff, and get it back on the internet and stuff. Just really cool what the community is able to do with stuff. But I thought that was awesome, the Wii having backwards compatibility with the GameCube, because it gave you a chance to play your GameCube games with component cables on the Wii and have a little bit of HD upscaling, where in order to do that for the GameCube, you had to buy those super expensive GameCube component cables that are really hard to find. But with the Wii, you can play them with the updated graphics on a more modern TV. So that was something that's really cool, and I just have always liked backwards compatibility because it gives you an option of more games to play. Like with the Wii, you have the whole Wii U library, but then you also have the whole GameCube library. And then when we got the Wii U, all the Wii games were backwards compatible on your Wii U console, and so that opened up a whole nother library. And actually you can play GameCube games on your Wii U if you modify the Wii software that's on there, and I've seen people who have done that, and so they're able to play GameCube and Wii games on their Wii U, which is something that's really cool. I have 3 Wii U consoles, and I may actually mod one of them here down the road, but it's not something that I'm looking into doing right now. But I just love, that at least Nintendo has been supporting backwards compatibility in their consoles. And then they even had software versions where you were able to download regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx games were able to be compatible on the Wii. You could download off the software. Obviously now the servers are shut down and you can't download them, but at the time, you had like 20 years of Nintendo you could play on your Wii console. So I have always enjoyed backwards compatibility. It's something that I've absolutely loved, but I know that statistically speaking though, that it really hasn't been that popular over the years. And that's why a lot of companies have kind of let it go to the wayside, except for Microsoft. That's been one of their big selling points lately. And even now Sony's been getting more into it, and Nintendo's been getting into it. Because, a lot of people say, they talk about, oh yeah, I like backwards compatibility, but how often do they actually utilize it? And that's why it fell to the wayside. But I've noticed, though, within the last year or two, that more and more people are finally coming around to the idea of backwards compatibility and really liking that. And when they hear that the companies are taking it away, it's actually upsetting some people. Like, hey, I like this backwards compatibility. Like, we need to keep that here. Like don't take shit away from me, man. I want more. And I think that's awesome. The more people who are into backwards compatibility, the better it is for us gamers, and it'll make companies realize that there can just money to be made here selling these old games again. And they can make digital versions of some of these games that have become super expensive. They can release $10 digital versions, so you can have a $400 PS1 game, but they can re-release it digitally for $10, and it opened up to a whole new market and audience. And I hope that we keep working on backwards compatibility in gaming, because it's something I thoroughly enjoyed. I've always enjoyed it. I love being able to play old games on new hardware, especially if you can get a graphic boost on with games. Like playing sometimes some of these old original Xbox games on my Xbox One X, it's just amazing. Like I remember I played Star Wars Republic Commando, where you got to play as a team of commandos, and it was a really fun story. Now, it looked kind of terrible on the original Xbox, even in the component cables, but when I put it on my Xbox One X, it upscaled everything, and the graphics made it look amazing, and just like it was like a whole fresh new game, and the loading times were so much better, and there was no stuttering and issues and stuff, and it was just something that was really fun. So I do like having that enhancement. And I know that the Xbox Series consoles do make games look even better and run even better on those consoles. So that is really something that does interest me with ninth gen gaming, is the backwards compatibility. But it's still not enough yet for me to warrant paying that kind of money. But it is a checkbox in the positive section of getting 9th gen, is that backwards compatibility. So I've always liked backwards compatibility. It's something that I've enjoyed, and it's something I think that consoles should keep doing in the future, and I hope companies decide to keep backwards compatibility alive here as we progress in the future. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. do you guys like backwards compatibility? Is it like essential for you? Is it a selling point? Is it something you have to have in your consoles? Or are you okay with not playing the old games? Maybe you're someone that only goes to modern stuff and you're only in the new and you don't even play the older stuff. But I'd love to hear your guys' answer to this question. You guys can answer it as a comment, or you can film a video response. Maybe this is one of those questions where it's too much to say in a comment and you would prefer to film a video response, or maybe you want to do both so you can get 2 entries into the contest. I just ask, if you guys do film a video response, please let me know so that I can leave a link for other people to check it out, and so I can watch it, give you guys credit for it, and that I don't miss it out. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. It's been fun interacting with you guys. I love reading your comments, watching your guys' video responses, answering these questions that I ask to you guys. Really do appreciate it. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see ya next time.